welcome to Layback with Betfair. Joined by the A-team, we're back. Hello everyone and welcome to another huge edition of Layback with Betfair. My name is Nick Foot, your host, and we're back in the studio this week. The A-team is back together. I speak, of course, Tom Haylock and Reece Goodwin, the greatest trainer, Pakenham Tynong side. Reece, how are you, mate? Welcome back.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, good. Much better than what I was 2 weeks ago when I missed out. I was in not a great way with a sore back.
And it was your birthday last week.
Yeah, it was my birthday last week. And funnily enough, I didn't remember until a day before and had to pull the pin on you boys. But it's good to be back. Obviously, some more exciting racing on the weekend and looking forward to getting stuck into it.
No doubt. It was like some of those kids back at school that used to get the day off school when it was their birthday. I was never one of them, but clearly Reece Goodwin was. Tom, how are you?
Did they get a run last week, the fact that he forgot his birthday?
No.
It didn't get a run?
No, we walked past it.
Oh,
I thought it was a joke.
Easy, lady.
Yeah.
He texted us the morning of saying, I forgot it was my birthday.
I thought it was satire.
Unbelievable
so when you're a busy trainer, you forget these less important things.
Yeah, correct. Thanks to Dean and Mitch Lewis for filling in a couple of weeks as well. So they did a good job, but I'm going to throw a couple of them in the lab in as well coming up. It's good to be back.
Yep.
I just handed the fun meetings over to the rookies, and we're here to take over the harder meetings and heading into winter. So
that's right.
Just give them the championships, and they can enjoy that.
That's leadership. That's leadership,
correct.
Tom.
Correct.
Nice. Let's get into the lay-bin that you prefaced there before. And I'm sure when you go away for a couple of weeks, Tommy, you've always got a couple of things in your iPhone notes just grinding your gears. What do you got for us?
First of all, thanks to Dean for filling in, but you can go straight in the lay-bin, Dean Watling. If anyone handing out criticism for fashion, I've got to cop it from Mitch Lewis and Dean Watling, two guys with man buns and top knots. Dean's seen with his little runt of a dog on the beach in black and white, the wannabe influencer giving out fashion tips. Get in the absolute lay-bin. So cop that.
Yeah. Even brought his dog into it.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going, mate. You're on a roll.
This bin is overflowing.
Pigeons, they can get in the lay-bin. They're just flying rats. They stink, pigeons. I've been away for a fair bit of April and March and come back and a lot of pigeon crap on my balcony, and there might even be a nest brewing, so they can get in the absolute lay-bin.
That's targeting. Yeah, they're rats with wings, pigeons. I'm not a big fan myself. Actually.
Bill Laurie, he's in the lay-bin too, trying to make pigeons cool.
I don't know.
Wendy and Wendy Jr.
Racing's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, my addition this week, I'm popping copycats in the lay-bin. So a lot of people will be following, or over 800,000, in fact, Tim Nackey on Instagram, who's a Kiwi living in Calgary, and he plays 10 cents for every follower every day in a game of blackjack. And he's up over $500,000 now. Great entertainment. He's very likeable. Great to listen to. Just, one of the, I'm going to call it the up-and-coming influencer pages that I'm getting around at the moment. But there are some copycats now, boys. So we're seeing a couple of Aussies trying to back the favourite in the last, and there's just no skill attached to it. It's just favourite in the last. So they're not doing the form. They're just going to their local tab, and they're putting X amount of cash, 5 cents per follower, on the last, and they're getting absolutely turned over. So they're probably getting what they deserve.
Is there skill in blackjack?
Hey?
Is there skill in blackjack and what he's doing?
Oh, he's playing the book.
There is some.
He's playing the book. Yeah.
We talked about this on there. I was wondering if he was counting cards or it was actually a pro, but he just seems like an absolute mug on.
I don't think you can count an online game of
I didn't
blackjack.
even know it was online when you said that.
He'd be very good if he
I'd
could.
rather him take cash to a casino.
Yeah, but
that would be better.
Come up with your own idea. Copycats in the lay-bin. Let's get into what Tom's calling day 3 of the championships at Royal Randwick.
It'd be great for turnover.
Why not? You add championships and turnover just goes through the roof.
Correct.
So we'll run with it on we'll run with it on layback. Why not? We've got a terrific meeting. He's headlined by the Group 1 Champagne Stakes and the Group 1 All Age Stakes, which we'll get to a little bit later in the card. Before we do that, third week at Royal Randwick in a row. What can we expect with the track conditions? We've obviously had enormous turnaround in conditions 2 weeks ago for day 1, raced well again day 2. Are you expecting more of the same?
Yeah, it's starting to get closer and closer to up and in, right at 7 from the 1,000 metres to the winning post. So it's starting to get out where no disadvantage to be on the fence, where it probably has been better running line or one-off fence in the last couple of weeks, and obviously they're getting out in the straight. So you started to get more fair out there. I think to play well.
Well, let's kick things off in race 3, which is the Group 3 James HB Carr Stakes for the 3-year-old fillies, 1,400 metres. Chris Waller and Star Thoroughbreds have taken out the last 2 editions of this race with Olentia and Espiona. One of the key form references for this race, Tom, is the PJ Bell. That was run here a fortnight ago, contained the likes of Miraval Rose, Cristilli, French Endeavour. And then you've got Inhibitions, who brings the Melbourne form line after a driving win at Caulfield. That was also a fortnight ago. And then an intriguing runner in the market is Scarlet Oak, who's on debut for Chris Waller, who's a Kiwi import. So interesting race. How are you assessing it?
I'm against the PJ Bell form. Obviously, it was a wet track and it probably wasn't as heavy like they said. A lot of data said it was a soft 6 and whatnot. So I'm against that form. Unique Ambition, I thought, was a really good run there. Had to work around the bends and you couldn't do that on that day. Any horse out wide that was working around that bend on the wet track, mark up going forward in your form references. I'm surprised Miraval Rose is so short. I know it gets back on her firmer deck and form before that was fantastic, but I thought she was pretty plain there. She had every chance the way the race was run and the way the lanes she came in. French Endeavour was on the right part of the track, can't have that. So I'm against that form. I'm against the Melbourne form in Inhibitions, and I've gone with a couple of roughies I could spec, and the debutant for Chris Waller, as you said, down the bottom there, Scarlet Oak. Now, I don't know.
$11 all in about this runner yesterday, and it's now halved in price as well, Tommy, Scarlet Oak. So for those punters that do like to get in ahead of time, futures certainly isn't kind at the best of times, but the week off, that's pretty good going.
Yeah, if I jumped on her at 11s, Chris Waller would scratch her now. So
all in, you're guilty.
Correct. No, I think she's a bet. I don't know what the form was around her in New Zealand, but just off the eye, that win was sensational. She circled the field and was wide around the bends and just put them to the sword under a tight double wrap there. So I think she's talented. She's got a light weight, and I think she's the horse to beat. I've got her on top and marked favourite. I am speccing a couple of roughies. Conasana, just given an absolute barrier trial first up, 1,100 metres, straight to 14, 5-week freshen up off a perfect draw. You said Chris Waller's won the race the last 2 years. I think he can do it again with Conasana or Scarlet Oak. And the other one's Extraordinaire, interesting international, because I don't rate the local form, and I'm risking the PJ Bell form. If I get it wrong, I get it wrong. But this horse is a big price against an average bunch of horses. So, I've got 12 Scarlet Oak on top, Conasana and Extraordinaire. I don't want to lose if they win.
Yeah, Extraordinaire is an interesting one. So they've bought, First Light have bought Extraordinaire out for a tilt at the Queensland Oaks, I believe. Yep. So you want to see her running relatively well in a race of this nature if she's going to shape up in a race like that. Reece, do you have an opinion?
Yeah, look, I'm not really going to get interested in winning-wise, but I'm keen to be against Inhibitions. I don't think the Melbourne form here is going to stack up against some of these here in Sydney. Don't get me wrong, she's a classy enough filly, but I thought she had every hope to win at Caulfield a couple of weeks ago, and she just got the job done. And her record, I think, is actually better in Melbourne than what it is in Sydney, and she's raced twice at Randwick, and she's been unplaced in both of those. So I'd be quite keen to take her on at the 460. And the one that interests me is the one we've already spoken about, is Scarlet Oak, drawn down low, 54, Zach Lloyd, the money's come, trialled well. It'd be interesting to see how this race unfolds for her. If she is just having a bit of a bowl around first look, or if she's there to play. The money would say she's there to play, and might be something to watch going forward.
That trial was very good as well. I didn't mention that.
Which they don't always expose them too much in a trial.
Either. No, I'm with you. I could easily lay Inhibitions too. Yep. I didn't think about laying her, but fourth up, Godolphin. Yeah.
Big career peak last start, Inhibitions, but Lay, look out, Reece. We'll put that down in the Lay section for you. Race 4, the Group 3 Frank Packer Plate for the 3-year-old set weights. This one's run over 2,000 metres. Osipenko won the race last year from Pericles and Williamsburg. Do you have an opinion on the race, Tom?
No, my note says Harvey Norman. Zero interest.
What a comedian. Don't quit your day job.
That took me 2.5 weeks to come up with that. No, very little interest. I like 10 House a favourite. Hasn't won for a long time. Not a race I'm too keen on.
Yep. Yeah, look, I was on him last start. I think I got around 20 to 1s, and I got something out of it, but I can't see myself backing him at $3 now. As you mentioned, Tommy hasn't won in a while, but he certainly looks like the horse to beat, I feel, but I'm not going to be diving into him at any confidence. And I don't think I want to be too interested in any of the others, to be fair.
Yeah, I've got a back and lay here, boys. I'm going to back Noisy Boy, number 2, at a price. So finished second in the Tulloch Stakes, 2 back, beating home Kintyre and Wymark, who meets here again at level weights, and he's 4 times the price of those runners. Yep. Was a touch flat on the quick back up in the Derby, drops back to 2,000 metres. What I'd love to see the stable and J Ford do here is to press on and be more positive from the wide draw. Clearly the fit horse dropping back. He's won leading before. I think he's worth an each way play, Noisy Boy. So I'll have something small in him. And I'm going to lay the favourite, number 1, Tannhauser. Finished strongly in the Carbine Club Stakes. That was behind Ducasse over the mile. And look, did clock the race fastest closing splits. That was to be expected because it was a fastly run race. He was back tucked away out of trouble. Up to 2,000 metres for the first time and drawn 3. This horse has the tendency to step slow, and I know it gets James McDonald on. However, if you're jumping from 3 with speed drawn inside you, you could be last back the fence here if James McDonald doesn't get him out cleanly. So I'm happy to take on the $2.70 of Tannhauser and also spec number 2 Noisy Boy on an each way basis at a big price. Let's go to race 5, the Group 3 Hallmark Stakes, set weights and penalties, 1,200 metres. Godolphin have got a stranglehold on this race with Villana winning last year, Kementari winning the year prior. Tommy, are you getting involved in this one, mate?
I had a look at the race in a bit of detail before I looked at the market and came up with front page, but then you look at the odds and front page is 220, 230. It seems short for a horse who... I know he's probably underrated, and he was very good last start, but you've got Everest horses and Mizzou and Afcabin and Villana who are serious horses. I have got front page on top. I don't really want to take the price. Afcabin scares the hell out of me. Absolutely no chance of winning last start. I expected a little bit more, but he had to work around the bend, but he was beaten a long way. But at his best, I've got him like right in the mix. So he's scary. Other than that, like Mizzou just eats market percentage and never wins. Yeah, it's a pretty average race, really.
I've always been an Afcabin fan, and I think there's been clear excuses his last 2. He's got 2 duck eggs next to his form now, but I think if you go off his trials and his first up run where he clearly should have won, in my opinion, he's the one I want to be with, particularly when you look at the prices. I mean, to take $2.10 about a horse like front page, who, look, in a way, he's probably the right price because you know where he's going to be. He's probably going to be in front. He's going to be in the right position. Afcabin's probably got himself beat a number of times by being in the wrong spot. But with that price discrepancy, I think Afcabin's the best horse in the race, and he should be able to prove himself on the weekend. Silly me, even if he doesn't, I'll probably still follow him going forward because the ability's there. He's undoubtedly got, I think, Group 1 ability, but it's just not coming together.
He's got a bit about that, doesn't he? Yeah. He's one of those horses that can continue to suck you in.
And I think not only the stable, but the jockeys that have ridden him know the ability's there too. So he's probably been incredibly frustrating because I think his CV is nowhere near what his ability actually is. So at the price, I think I'm going to be with Afcabin.
Yep. I think front page is one of the better bets on the program, boys. Like, it's just hard not to gravitate towards this bloke after he led everywhere bar the post in the Galaxy, gets back to Randwick, 2 from 2 this track and trip, and Tyler Schiller, who has a terrific relationship with the horse, will be able to dictate from the top. Just going through ratings profile is showing that can just take a dip second up, so fresh is best. I like that they've given a little bit more time between runs for front page as well here, and I think it's going to be mighty hard to run down. So I think one of the better bets on the program in Sydney on the weekend is number 7 front page. Race 6, it's the Group 3 JRA Plate. It's quality, 2,000 metres. Diamil won it last year from Banker's Choice and Huetor. This is an interesting race as well, Tommy. How are you sort of seeing this one unfold?
Yeah, fascinating race. You've got a favourite here who's yet to run at 2,000 metres and has won 1 career race. So I'm heavily against New Energy at the price. I said in the notes here, laying him to anything under $5 or up to $5 there. So I didn't mind his mid-prep trial the other day, but he was pretty poor last start. I wanted to be with him off some trials prior to this. I was keen on him in the Liverpool. He got beaten there by Fearson. No idea how that kept going, Fearson, in that race. And then I thought he was pretty plain last start. I just think his unders here, J-Mac tax well in play. And I don't like betting into these races too much, but Boy D'Argent interests me here. He's a probably an underrated horse, but he's a better 2,000 metre horse, in my opinion, than a 2,400 metre horse. He was well beaten in the Tancred. He ran 7th. He got beaten 2.5. But 2,000 metre record is very good. So he's rock hard fit. He's placed in 9 or 10 runs at the 2,000, including 3 wins. He'll be around the mark, and you're getting an each-way price from good barriers. So he's third up, back from 2,400 metres. He'll do me. Could spec Goldman. Yonce is a good horse as well, and a bit scary, but Boy D'Argent, the play for me.
Yeah, he was super in the Caulfield Cup at a big price too, wasn't he?
He was around 4th, yeah.
4th, so. Reece?
I'm going to side with the lightest racehorse in the race, the mare down the bottom, City of Lights. I'm actually really keen. I think she's a really bright staying prospect, and this is her first time getting to this trip. But Tommy, you could probably back me up here. Hopefully, that last run looked like it was a good rolling gallop and was a nice testing 1800, and she was by far the strongest running through the line, getting away from them late. I like that not only has she trialled in between runs, but Jamie Carr also trialled her. So this has probably been a plan that's been put in place where they knew she was going to get the lightweight. Jamie'd gone to Sydney to ride her in the trial, get a feel of her. The draw probably looks ugly, 14, but she's probably going to find her feet and go back. Hopefully there's some good speed here. But I've got no doubt that going forward, she could be the best mare to come out of this race. And I think Joe thinks that too. I think Joe's got a really high opinion of her. And at an each-way price, I'm going to be really strongly in her corner.
She was in that same trial as New Energy. Yeah, you're right. They went 2.5, 3 lengths faster than benchmark in that race. So they didn't go slowly.
And that's what makes me you could question, if anyone had the knock, it would be she hasn't been in this trip before. But when you come out of a race like that it was a true gallop and she was the strongest on the line running away, that just gives me good confidence that she's going to be right at this trip. And
her barrier is offset by a pattern.
Yeah.
So she'll be, I can totally understand where you're coming from there. Reece Goodwin, I'm going to side with the Albury Cup winner here, number 12, Fawkner Park, who was a dominant winner, I might add, in the Albury Cup. Got home in one of the fastest closing splits of the meeting. That was over the 2,000 metres as well. Stays at the trip, drops 3 kilos off that, and just maps to get a super run with Tyler Schiller, who remains in the saddle from that Albury Cup win. So I think he looks to have another peak run in him and hold that form that we saw was pretty soft in the end in the Albury Cup. So Fawkner Park for me, fellas, in race number 6. Let's go to race 7 now, boys. The first of the Group 1s on the program. It's the Champagne Stakes for the 2-year-olds, set weights over the mile. Militarised, won the race last year from Bases Loaded and Townsend. Speed looks like a pretty sort of easy speed map to sort of to analyse here, doesn't it, Tom? You got the likes of a Node and Linebacker who led out last start against each other as well, or 2 back for a Node. El Costello looks another one of the key speed influences. How are you seeing the race, and are you keen to have a bet?
I'm keen to lay something in the race. I think a Node leads Linebacker here. That's pretty obvious, as you said. Now, Linebacker and a Node ran the Quinella in the Baillieu. Former Linebacker won, just got nose down on the line. Broadsiding was third there. I really like the run of Broadsiding. It was probably a good thing, probably more on hindsight. Last start on the way they ran that race, the Baillieu. Broadsiding really couldn't get in the race and ran home really well, and the 2 leaders just skipped clear. So Broadsiding's since come out and run really well, winning. I think the mile suits Broadsiding better than the other 2, to be honest, in Linebacker and Node. I think Broadsiding has to be shorter than a Node and much shorter than, or about the same price, if not shorter than Linebacker. So with that in mind, I've got Linebacker as a lay here. I think he's massive unders. I'll be laying him up to $3.50, $4. Not concerned about the mile, but I think the cup might be a couple stronger, and I've just taken a set against him, so see how we go.
So you're saying with Linebacker that he's got an unblemished record, the distance isn't the issue. So is it more that there's more improvement to come from some of these other runners at the mile?
You'd think that it's 2-year-olds over a mile, so that's always a concern when you go 1,400 metres to a mile for a 2-year-old. It is a big step up, but we've seen Broadsiding do it, who was running away from them. I know it probably wasn't a stronger race, but Broadsiding's done it at a mile, so that's a big tick for me. And we saw a Node come through that Linebacker Broadsiding form in the size produce and was well beaten by Manal. So I think Manal's got to be right in the mix, and I've got Manal marked favourite here. So I've got Manal on top, and I just can't, with that form line through a Node, I can't see how Linebacker is as short as Manal.
Yep.
So laying Linebacker.
I've done next to no form for this race, but it's quite interesting. I'm looking at the markets, and as I'm 100% with you, as broadsiding's been seen at the mile as a 2-year-old compared to a horse that hasn't been seen, and you're getting $6 to $7 about one that is proven at the distance, and you're having to take under $3 about the other one. So I can see exactly where you're coming from, Tommy, and that's probably a smart way to go about it. Is probably having something on broadsiding on a 2-year-old that's proven at a mile and being hard against the horse that's a lot shorter in the market. First time the trip.
Could be a hamburger.
Yeah, well, I'm backing broadsiding and a lot of these points that you're making. The 7-day backup, staying at the mile, tick, and the turn of foot once got clear too. And this race, in terms of tempo, I don't think is going to be too dissimilar to what we saw in the Fernhill last start. So, quick backup, the run under the belt as the ball in his court over linebacker, as you've sort of mentioned. Manal's the interesting one. So King's Legacy was the last to complete the Sires and Champagne double. That seems to be the superior form reference for a race like this coming in. So you have to respect, but does seem a touch short. And just looking at the data from that race, visually it was very impressive, Manal, but certainly was peaking on the run late, going past a tiring traffic warden and Coleman. So you've got to take those sort of things into consideration, and I'm with you at the price. I think broadsiding's the overs.
Yep.
Race 8, boys, the Group 1 all-age stakes, weight for age 1,400 metres. It's a long time in racing here, because last year Giga Kick won this race, beating home Zaki and Cascadian. So 12 months on, hasn't the landscape of racing changed a lot?
How many horses are retired lately?
Yeah, it's
brutal, Autumn.
We're in our horse racing's in its rebuilding phase at the moment, Tom. That's the way I'm putting it, particularly our sprinting ranks. Yeah. Look, speed drawn out wide in this race, which often results in a good tempo setting up. So you got the likes of Amenable, Bandersnatch, Buffalo River, who has the tendency to step slow, but Hunt runs and has drawn 9. So Chain of Lightning, if choosing to run here on the good deck, gets a nice map, as does Magic Time and Southport Tycoon. You're gonna get your hands dirty here, Tommy Haylock?
Yeah, I'm not convinced it's going to be a good deck. There's still showers forecast and a few showers throughout the day. 0 to 6 mil today, tomorrow, and Saturday, I think.
Even when it doesn't rain, you can get a soft deck in Sydney.
Well, they got heavy dews over there.
And you get 200 mil and you nearly race on a soft.
That is why it's so confusing and there's so much criticism. Correct. How do you put 5 mil on a track and it's a soft 6, and then they put 150 falls and it's still a soft 6? It doesn't make sense.
I still go back to Reggie Baylis's tweet. Hashtag let Mother Nature do a thing. It's one of the great tweets.
That is a key element. There is a lot of difference in natural rainfall to irrigation. To irrigation, unfortunately. And you wouldn't think it's that much, but it clearly does make some difference.
Yeah. To the all aged, it's a great race. I think Buffalo River leads. He has to. That's his go. He gets
just does step slow though. This is his thing. But he does then muster.
I think his saviour this time is he's drawn outside. Not outside, but he's not drawn anywhere near the fence. And I think Celine copped a lot of criticism for her ride last time. But he's not a horse he's a horse they have been from day one trying to settle. So there was no way anyone's ever pushed him that hard out of the gates. So he was slow away. She was never going to give him a rub because she already had trouble holding him without rubbing him up. So if she rubbed him up and she still got cross, she was going to be in an awful lot of trouble. So that was just shocking criticism there from people who clearly didn't understand the horse and how he operates. But anyway, I think he'll get his chance from 9. And it was funny, I didn't know who you were talking about before we went on the show. You were talking about jockeys that can help horses out the gates. I think Tim's a very good rider for getting horses out the gate. And I think that's why Gay loves him as well. Not only has he got a great clock in his head, but he actually gets horses to begin really well. And they're already on the front foot. So I think he's actually probably pretty good booking for a horse like this.
Suits their operation.
Yeah, correct. He's as good a running rider as there is in the country.
That's right.
TC. So, Buffalo River on top. I think leading from Bandersnatch and Golden Mile.
41,
I think. 5 of these come through the TJ there. I think Espiona wins if gets even luck there and gets out at the right time. I love that run.
Is she just becoming a little bit of a myth? Because if you look at her run in the TJ in isolation, 100%. But are we making this case for this mare more often than not, or is she the flashing light run more often than not? Like where do you draw the line on this? And when she's coming up $4 favourite, how do you sort of navigate around that?
I think she's been poorly placed and
should have won a Newmarket.
She should have won. I think her and the Toppy Private Eye fight out the Newmarket if they're there, and they've come to Sydney. She's a horse that probably needs firm tracks, but she was so good at a TJ on a heavy 8, and that was been the reason why. And she's run much better in Melbourne Road going historically as well. But I'm not sure Chris has worked her out yet, which is surprising. She should have won the TJ if she gets out. She's 5. Well,
that's great. Not sure he's worked her out yet.
Right.
He might
I don't
say
know.
that.
No
He
one
might
else.
say that, but
Who
it's
has?
interesting,
If any of the layback with Betfair listeners have worked her out,
Yeah.
just slide into our
it's,
DMs.
It's interesting to say that he hasn't worked her out, but there's 3.1 million in the prize money
and she
bank.
still won 7 from 21. But she's got the ability to win your big
Yeah,
features.
This is
that's
the
right,
point.
yeah.
Like,
That's right.
this is the point. You're spot on.
So I don't think the placement in the Canterbury was fantastic, and the ride was, or the tactics probably were poor there. She probably goes close with better tactics. I loved her run in the TJ. I think she can win here, but she did have the right run there. It sounds silly. She didn't have any room, but that was the way they were winning, piercing through the field. And Sunshine in Paris had to do the bullying word out wide. We mentioned that, working around the bends, coming wide in a lane that not many horses won. It was a bit of a bunch finish there, but I think Sunshine in Paris was the better run, even though I think Espiona probably should have won. Buenos Noches wasn't too far away and was okay there. Magic Time ties in through the TJ, beaten in a photo by Espiona in the 1400 metres invitational as well, so ties in through that as well. I thought she had her chance in the TJ. Private Eye gets JMac on, which is interesting from that trial, that mid-prep trial. But Sunshine in Paris on top for me from Espiona. I think they're the two plays, but the market's found them.
Incredible race this. First of all, I want to ask you, Tommy, about Espiona. Now, I feel Buffalo River is going, like, he's been basically chasing Pride of Jenni, so there's been some really hot tempos. Is there any concern that Espiona could be 15 lengths off Buffalo River and it's too brutal of a tempo, or does the quicker they go, the better it is for her? Has she been in races where there has been that quick of a tempo, like something Buffalo River might put on for Saturday, and she's been found out because there's just too much ground to make up?
Yeah, well, it's always hard for back markers, and when you get a separation,
You need the sweet
if
spot,
you get a
don't you?
separation in the field, if you're betting in play at Betfair, as soon as the field separates, you just lay all those in the second half.
Yeah,
because it's so hard to bridge that gap and run over the top of them.
I'm just thinking, Espiona and Sunshine in Paris were the two I thought to take out of the TJ. Sunshine in Paris is drawn 2, is going to just get a perfect run, you think. Espiona is probably going to be second half of the field. All of a sudden, Nash looks up, Buffalo River's 5 in front, and next you know he's 10, 15 lengths off them, and there's just too much ground to make up. Is that
that's the risk?
scenario?
That's the risk with her, and that's probably why she hasn't won these big.
And
features.
I just feel as though she's so difficult because I feel like she's got such a lethal turn of foot that she's actually better in a slowly run race where she can reel off good sectionals. But obviously, the leaders, if they've had a soft time, they're going to reel off good sectionals too. So she's such a catch-22 in my opinion. So I'm heavily against her. There's a few I want to be
heavily
here.
against her.
Yep.
Interesting. Yep.
Because I'm yet to see what is the perfect scenario for her.
Yeah.
I mean, if they go slow like they did in the TJ, all of a sudden she found traffic because there wasn't enough room. But then you find other times she's just too far off the leaders because there's been a fast speed, which you think suits her, but she's just got too much to do.
And you say she was probably the run of the race and the lightning off that absolute walk.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Yeah. She's actually, I feel, probably better suited to a slow tempo. But unfortunately, at a top class, the leaders are still running along too much for her.
Her run in the Lightning was the greatest Newmarket trial ever, and then she went to the Canterbury Stakes.
Went to the Canterbury Stakes and was 7th last at the 400.
So there's 3 I want to have something each way on. And I'm not going to go into it too much.
You're actually going to have 3 each way bets here.
Yep. Yeah, a Tommy 3 play.
Wow, wait, they better be good odds here.
I think it's a 6 play.
One of them is quite juicy odds, and I just keep thinking back to when Ben Mallam got off the horse, Buenos Noches. Now,
yes. Here's a horse. You're talking about back markers.
Yeah, no, that's true. But this is the thing this is what interests me is I heard who trains off? Matthew Smith on the radio yesterday, and he has always thought this horse was a 1400 metre horse, but he'd been really keen on trying to win one of these good sprint Group 1s for his staying career.
Yep.
But I think from 3, Mark Zara is not going to be silly enough to be out the back. I think he's going to be a lot closer, and if the horse does want 1400, I think this is going to be a really good setup for him to hopefully get every chance of that. If he has Sunshine in Paris somewhere near him, might get the back of her. If 1400, I'm going off what I'm hearing. and the horse does look like he wants 1400. Mark Zahra is the best jockey to get on to just win a random Group 1 like this. Like, he just wins on him for fun.
Well, I think he's over the odds.
And then he jets off to Ibiza after he wins on a 30-1 pop. So I'm going to be having something small each way on him. And then further down the page, Magic Time. She's had 4 runs at 1400. She's won 2 of them, placed at another 2. So she's got a great record. She was beaten
by Espiona.
Yep, no doubt. Absolutely. Yep. I would say she was inferior ground closer to the inside.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but she was only beaten a length at the end of the day. Last time she was at 1400, she won a Group 1 at Caulfield against the bias when she was deep and was able to come around him.
That was a huge win.
Yep. And I just don't think you can knock the 3-year-old form at all. The 3-year-old form is just continually backed up all throughout the last 3 months, 4 months, however long. B8, and I can't not have something on Southport Tycoon, to be fair.
So, Footy.
Yeah, so I'm with 3 horses here, and I might look like a mug, but I'm definitely having a 3-horse trifecta with those 3.
Well, it's taken 9 minutes to find the winner and mention the winner, and that's number 12, Southport Tycoon.
He has got a mention eventually.
He's finally got a mention. He's the sleeping giant here because we've spoken about Espiona, who no one's backing for 10 minutes. I think we have
I might back it.
We have a bit of tendency maybe to apply some recency bias and feel like he's almost forgotten about in the discussion, Southport Tycoon. The win in the Oz Guineas was outstanding, and V8, some of the best Group 1 form in the country, and you can't just walk past that. 1600 back to 1400 metres, no issue when we're talking about the solid tempo. We're talking about being in the sweet spot and run. Yep. Well, that's where Southport Tycoon's going to lob. So I think Southport Tycoon is a great bet at the price here in the Group 1 all-aged stakes, boys.
7 weeks between runs.
Yeah, the two
trials.
The 2 trials, the latest, the 2 1200-metre trials at Warwick Farm, and the latest 1200-metre trial at Warwick Farm was an absolute corker. Went across the line with wind chat under absolutely no riding whatsoever. It just looks completely primed.
The other thing is this camp, you can't knock them for however many weeks between runs. I mean, they were doing things with Hitotsu that no one's ever done before. Like, don't get me wrong, it's partly the horse, but these guys have got that much data to show when their horse is right to go. You just can't possibly question how long these horses have in between runs, because these guys, they just get it right time and time again.
Yep. I'm certainly not questioning it. Hey, boys, we're going to do something different for what caught my eye this week, and I'm going to call it what I called it on X or Twitter, and it's the greatest win I've ever seen. It's Pride of Jenni and the Queen Elizabeth, and we'll get our cold water out and try and pour over that with some data, no doubt, Tommy and Reece. And I want to discuss the race and delve into it on review, the Queen Elizabeth and the win by Pride of Jenni. What did you make of it, Tom?
Was it the greatest win you've seen or the greatest race you've seen? In terms of winning, is it the best win you've ever seen, or is it just a phenomenal race?
I'm a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B there. Yeah, I'm finding it hard to distinguish the difference between the two, because I think visually, like we'll talk about Chautauqua's third win in the TJ, and
the God Zone's exactly the one I thought of with Bossy on it. That's something you've got to go and watch if you haven't. Yeah, how that horse won is crazy.
Lonrose, Australian Cup, of the canvas, those types of ones where you think it's all over and then it wins. Still gets up and wins. They hit a little bit different, but this one where you flip it on its head. Really, you go out, you get in front by 30 lengths. It's a completely different scenario. It's an apple and orange almost, isn't it?
The greatest race I've ever seen. Is it the greatest win I've ever seen? Maybe not. That's how I'm seeing it.
I find it hard to say it's the greatest win I've ever seen, because the rest of the field and the jockeys actually should be under a steward's inquiry. If Reggie gets suspended for riding a horse too fast, then they have to get suspended. Cascadian went like 20 lengths slower than he did in the Australian Cup. But how does that work? So I can't say it's the greatest win I've ever seen, because the horses should have been 5 lengths off her, not 30.
But this is what she does. Yeah. She does weird things to very good horses, and when you got the likes
very good jockeys.
When you got the likes of Craig Williams leading up the group on, say, Mr. Brightside, and he goes 14 lengths slower in the Queen Elizabeth to the 600 than he did in the Australian Cup on Mr. Brightside, it becomes, for me, the best way to encapsulate it is the Spider-Man gif, where 3 Spider-Mans are all pointing at each other. And that's what the jockeys were like. You take us up. You lead us up. No, you lead us up. And
I think
no one wants to sacrifice their race by bringing the group up.
I think it was a perfect storm, because Willow's come under such criticism from their own camp, the camp of Mr. Brightside.
And not just them either.
And public as well, for going too fast and going too slow. They can't make up their mind. So he's down if he does, down if he doesn't.
I thought he was the only one that shouldn't have been questioned. To be fair, he's already tried to chase her.
Yeah.
And that was probably Mr. Brightside's worst run.
Correct.
Perfect storm.
Why is he going to be the one to chase? I thought he was genius that the horse jumped. They said they were going to go back and riding conservatively, which they still have overall. But he jumped well, and Craig just goes, well, I can't go back there. I'm going to be 45 lengths off her. So he actually just rode the horse where he was happy, which happened to be second. I'd be questioning all the other ones. Because Craig's already said that he can't chase her because it's already beaten him.
Lindemann coming out didn't help because that was probably the cart horse that carts the field up to him. But
and Uncle Chris wasn't happy, was he?
And I'll tell you off air about that. That's not for the camera.
Oh, damn it.
That's good.
Little teaser.
We're going to wrap things up here.
Yeah.
But the in-play odds, like this horse was 30 lengths in front and 20 lengths in front of the 600. You're still getting even money. Unbelievable.
Is that? It's interesting for me though. Is I've seen something like this before, but it's because the horse is basically pissed off on the jockey. So you can't. Was there the worry? Like if you've got
were you worried?
Second, well, little, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I've seen this before. Have you ever seen that happen?
With what?
A horse lead by 30 lengths and keep going in Australia?
I have, but you're obviously not as good as Pride of Jenni.
I'm just saying I've seen horses lead by big margins like that, and it's stopped in an absolute hole.
Yeah,
so
I
don't think I was there backing it just because it was that far in front. You go, oh, how could they catch up?
Pride of Jenni does it, so you know that she was strong at the line.
Well, this is the thing, but this was the little difference I had is she's never led by that far.
No.
So I know it's easy to say in hindsight, oh, she wasn't going that quick, and the others were. But at the time, we all just thought she was going a lot quicker than normal, didn't we?
I had a great discussion with Dave Strelaw around this and looked at her Australian Cup sectionals, and he made the call that she actually went too slow in the Oz Cup for her because she still had a kick in the locker at the end. So when you compare that to the Queen Elizabeth, she's gone slightly faster because she falls in the hole, but you'd rather be wrong that way than wrong the other way. Yeah. So it's a really interesting race to unpack. But Declan Bates, we're talking about all the beaten brigade. You've got to have the kahunas to get up front and do that and win
especially
a Group
after
1.
being suspended.
Well, this is where I give him real credit. I don't actually think that wasn't his plan, and in my opinion, to lead like he did. But he basically
not by 35. But
he probably didn't expect the others to be asleep. This is the part that I give him credit to is he knows her so well that, as you just said, Footy, that you're better off going quicker on her than going slower. If you hold her up too much, that's defeating the purpose.
That's the way you want to be wrong.
So basically, Declan came in and said, I had no control. He said she took over, but he was smart enough to go with her rather than to fight against her and start panicking. I want to see more jockeys do that. That was the good part of the ride was he went with her rather than going against her.
Can I just make the final point? Stewards should stop suspending jockeys for going too fast. Yeah, I'd much rather see a horse that I back go fast out in front, especially if you're a leader and you've got the capability to go fast. We see it time and time again. They got suspended on her last time she was in Sydney for going too fast.
I've had good conversations with people about this. This all comes down to a bit of breeding and the way we train our horses in Australia.
Yeah.
The training, I think a lot of people don't understand the way we train our horses. I'm not speaking about everyone, but a lot of people is we go slow in the start of our gallops and at the end is where we're going our fastest.
Yeah.
So that is what we're training our horses to do on race day. We go slower at the start. Don't get me wrong, there's a bit of pressure in the first furlong or something. And then we steady up and then we try and sprint home. So that is unfortunately why a lot of jockeys are going too slow because that's how our horses are actually trained to be on race day. Whereas like you watch America and England, horses are trained to be at their top for a lot longer. So then the races are run to be at their top for a lot longer, which from a punter's point of view is a lot better because you basically just find out what the better horse is.
Yeah. And just from an external point of view, I'll just finish on this one. How great is it when, I know you guys would have the same friends outside of racing come and ask you and comment on the Queen Elizabeth Stakes and they're taking an interest in racing, going like, why don't horses do this more often? Why don't we see this more often in racing? How good was that win? So
just like, I know we're talking about this, but like Hutchie and Damo are talking about it on their podcast. So like it's great for racing and absolutely sensational.
I tell you what else is great for racing. It's the second instalment of the Quokka.
It is.
And our man, Tom Haylock, got to catch up with Perth racing guru Terry Leighton.
Suspense there.
Yeah,
That's great.
It could have been anyone.
I thought there was going to be a drum roll there or something.
Oh, it was.
Can we fit that in?
Terry Leighton, and to dissect the race, and this is what Tommy and Terry, a great segment there, had to say about the Quokka coming up on Saturday.
Purely from a speed map point of view and the fact that Pikey and Oscar's Fortune will be following Overpass everywhere they go, I think they would have just about dead heated in the Winterbottom. I'd say Oscar's Fortune's come forward as a horse, watching his performance in the Roma Cup. And the fact we're getting each way, I'm not usually an each way player at sort of $2.20 or whatever it is around that mark, but she hasn't missed, hasn't missed a top 2 finish in his 8-start career. And the map is just that good. You'd think the place price is probably realistically $1.60, $1.70. So at $2.20, I don't want to see Amelia's Jewel beat me, who I think is the best horse, and then feel like a bit of a goose when Oscar's run second or third and they sort of clear out a little bit from the rest. So at $6, $2.20, I think that'll stay stable on Betfair. There'll be bigger money, Amelia's Jewel. There'll be money for Overpass without doubt. King of Sparta will be very firm in the market. It's the horse that I don't have a huge read on, not being a big Eastern States punter, but doing the replays, having a look at some numbers. It looks very similar to Oscar's Fortune in that sense, and Map's probably on the back of Oscar's Fortune or very close to it. But I suspect the whole way through betting we'll see sort of between $5.50 and $7 each way Oscar's Fortune, and that's me.
All right, thanks Terry and Tommy there for the preview of the Quokka. And Tommy, any sort of final thoughts? It's
a great race. It is a sensational race. And just in terms of what they've done, this is worth more than the Winterbottom and the other Group 1s over there, the Railway and stuff. I think they're worth $1.5 million. This is worth $5 million. Check out the full preview with Terry and I think it went for 15 minutes. He touched on a couple of other races over there, but it's a $5 million race. Sensational race, and the turnover from this race, I think in its first year, eclipsed any other race in terms of turnover in WA. So they've done some outstanding things over there, and the barrier draw just makes it a fascinating race with Amelia's Jewel in 12, Damien Lane on board. We've seen her roll forward closer with Lane on board. But
what was that horse she ran down at Moonee Valley one time?
Pride of Jenni, I believe.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right. Yeah, it's done all right since.
I think it was called a tradesman-like performance at the
yes,
time.
It was.
So
racing's a funny beast.
It is.
Great race. I don't have a huge opinion on it. I can't see Amelia's Jewel, if she gets luck, not beating Oscar's Fortune home and Overpass, where he'll be.
And this is her last run for Simon Miller before she joins the Reece Goodwin stable
Correct.
on the East Coast.
That's the word on the street.
Yeah, not to. If they want
the way you're going.
If they want to improve our record, they'd be silly.
If they had lights in the chute at 1200, they might.
If I'm sending it to a young trainer at Pakenham, it is definitely Dom Sutton. Now
Well, that's funny. He just moved to Ballarat.
Oh, damn.
Toby Edmondson.
Toby Edmondson.
Dude.
Sure, there'll be another one in line.
It's funny because it's
Trent
actually Trent Edmonds.
Oh, that's good.
That's his dad, I think.
Yeah. It is Trent.
Can we cut that out?
Yeah.
Much to do with it.
Yeah, no, he's good, Trent. I actually helped him out when he first got down. He was stuck for a track work rider, and I actually rode a few for
Oh,
him.
really? Yeah, he's a good guy.
He is.
He's winner on Monday at Bairnsdale.
That's right. Yeah, his first one. Did you tip it?
No. Let's go to Mornington, boys. We're going to preview 2 races there, the 2 features on the card. It's their standalone Saturday meeting, the Mornington Cup, and it looks a pretty good edition of the race, Tommy. We might just delve straight into it. Race 8 there on the program, 2,400 metres. Right you are. Won last year, Crystal Pegasus the year prior, and Mount Popper. It's a win and you're in to the Caulfield Cup. How are you assessing this year's edition of the Cup?
Not a race I'm keen to bet into, not a track I love betting into, and I don't like staying races much. Could entertain denying knowledge.
This is almost this is like a pin-up boy for
really
racing
that
Vic.
up, didn't you?
Yeah. Is it the MRC down there, aren't they?
I'll dissect the Hareeba.
MRC?
Don't worry. I'll
What
give
about
you.
just quickly? I haven't had a close look either.
I'm having a bet, so
Oh, sorry.
He's laughing at me, and then he hasn't had a close
Yeah,
look
but I'm
either.
not going to knock it down like you have. Do you
I did
mean?
not-
There's just a
no.
horse here that I thought wouldn't be this price. Is Captain Envious after his great win in the Easter Cup first up, and
he goes up
4
3.5
1.
kilos off that run.
So that'll stop him.
Meets denying knowledge, worst of the weights.
Stops trains.
No.
There we go. Can't win.
I'm having a Tommy 2 bet in the Mornington Cup. There's actually someone that's done their homework for this race and is willing to have a bet on the layback show. So
Where are they?
Deny Knowledge.
Oh, it's you.
I'm backing Deny Knowledge and Future History. Deny Knowledge was very good. These both come through the Easter
See, I
Cup.
said deny knowledge, and I found it.
Well, she's only going to strip fitter, Tommy,
Yes.
third up. Makes all her luck up on the speed. If you go back to her spring form, she's got genuine spring form around Pride of Jenni and a
back during
tissue
that
in the
matriarch,
Empire Rose.
thankfully.
Yep, before going on to win that Group 2 matriarch. So she gets some of mine. And Future History's the other who, look, I entertain Future History down in the weights at a price in a Melbourne Cup. And that second up run also in the Easter Cup was, yes, peaked on the run late, but was a very nice trial for a race like the Mornington Cup. We'll be up there again. We'll strip fitter. I noticed the crossover nose band goes on as well to perhaps help with some of those issues, help the horse relax a little bit. So I'm going to play around some of the more fancies, like First Immortal, who I thought was very plain. Yes, I was with First Immortal last start at Caulfield. Yes, there was some excuses perhaps held up for momentum, but the jockey reported that it was a flat ride. I thought had every chance to go a touch better sitting in the box seat. So I'm happy to take him on.
This obviously isn't a query because you're with Deny Knowledge. She's had one go, 2400, and was disappointing. Is that any question mark for you?
I think she's got form at 2500 perhaps, so or
She won at
2600.
22.
Yeah, at Geelong.
That was the Geelong Classic.
Yeah,
wasn't
the
it?
Geelong Classic. Yeah,
That was a bit of Pride of Jenni like, wasn't it? To be fair, she led by 10 lengths, I think.
There's nothing only Pride of Jenni can be Pride of Jenni like, I think now. She's replaced Lasquetti's spirit in my vocab. Let's move on, boys. Race number 9, the listed Hareeba Stakes. It's a handicap 1200 metres and Jigsaw's looking to go back-to-back here. Plenty of speed engaged, as you'd imagine, Tommy. Poland, Grand Impact, Jigsaw, Savannah Cloud, Starlight Scope. Mahaba's drawn sticky. Who are you siding with?
Yeah, love this race. Love betting at Mornington. Jigsaw punches up from barrier 5. Grand Impact following him over. Pretty handy. Got a couple that draw wide that'll add pressure. Starlight Scope has speed. Poland has speed, drawn wide. Party for One and Mahaba, as you mentioned. Very tricky race. As you said, Jigsaw won this race last year and beat the Inferno. It was a smaller field, different setup here. I think the Inferno's going better this year than he was then. He got put in his nose at Flemington. He came last there and almost fell, and they were almost going to retire him. And then he came back and was 1100 metres up to 1200. He's back from 14 to 12 in this, and he ran a really good race in this race last year. He's some chance, but he does need things to go his way. I'm with the Yarra Valley form, the Discovery form. I think
good race.
Very, very tough race to dissect. Mahaba's drawn wide and it's got to be a chance. But Jigsaw was wide, had to work. Wasn't beaten far by Savannah Cloud. Meets Savannah Cloud 2 kilos better at the weights. That got to be in the mix here. Just how much pressure, but ready to roll. I've got him on top from Savannah Cloud, who draws perfectly again. So I'm leaning to that. I think they're the value in the race, but I've got Mahaba on top, but no value.
I wanted to find Mahaba. That just gate has completely turned me off.
Yeah, I've got Mahaba on top. Just the market's found it as well.
Yeah.
So.
There's one I've been waiting for a while here, and has trialled a number of times and trialled really good. It's Pintoff. I'm just having a look here and can't believe I've missed the 21s. Yep. Looking at half of that now. Trialled up really good. First run for Kieran Maher. Won 2 of 2 last prep under Carly Cook. I think this horse is going really good, and they've clearly been holding off to try and find the right race. And middle draw, there's going to be some good speed here, good pressure, and I think he'll be the one running over the top of them. So I'm really keen to have something each way on him.
First up for a year, 1400.
As I just
1200. Sorry.
As I just said before, I can't ever question Kieran Maher for not having their horses right. They've got way too much knowledge and data to not have this horse somewhere near his best. If they're going to have him there to win, they might say, well, we're going to be looking to target him really strongly second up. But I think off the amount of jump outs he's had, they're pretty close to having him spot on first
Could
up.
he be a horse that goes to Adelaide?
Well, if he wins, you'd assume so. Yeah, if he wins, there's probably not too many options.
Yeah.
His rating will go up, and you probably have to go for something like that.
I'm with you. I'm having a 2-bet. Number 5, Pintoff's one of them. It's a strange setup, isn't it, for a 7-year-old gelding going from Carly Cook to Kieran Maher. Usually they're the other way around.
Yeah,
Usually
and then before that, Richard Cully had the horse too.
Yeah, so it's a strange setup, but I'm not sure what the reasoning is, whether it's connections, the ownership group, or the stable wanted to have a horse like this and thought there was room for improvement in these types of sprint trips. But the market support gives you confidence, and you're right, 21s into 11s here on Thursday. I'll have something on Pintoff. And I'll also going to have something on the 11 Grand Impact. 17 months away from the races
Looked
before
as
his
big as
first
me
up
in the
run.
apparently.
Yeah, at the Valley in 84 grade, and had to carry 61 kilos that day as well. Reece, around some solid enough benchmark horses, so extra twos in form. Boldinho has a really nice record. He led them up, held his own, fitness giving way over the final 100, which we suspected. He was my lay of the weekend from memory, part of that
And you don't miss.
part of that 9-week lay streak,
Shocked
I
it's taken
believe.
him
But
9 races to tell us.
Yeah.
I did say we didn't have to worry
we'll get
about
there,
pumping up.
listeners. Providing he bounces out of that run, and the market late on the exchange will tell you. He's going to be mighty hard to beat. All 3 wins have come at this trip. Dropped 7 kilos off that first up run, down to 54. Good gate speed. I think will improve vastly second up. So Grand Impact, yes, watch the market, but he's open $4, out to $5 corporates. It's not a bad price to nibble now. I thought 4 was a touch tight. So Grand Impact and Jigsaw for me in the Hareeba. Boys, I'm going to kick off the LayStreak this week.
As you should, mate.
I've got $2,490 in liability this week, and I'm heading to Randwick, race 4, the Frank Packer Plate, and I'm going to be laying number 1, Tannhauser, who, yes, finished strongly in the Carbine Club behind Jacass. It was a fast race, clocked some of the fastest closing splits there, and that was to be expected because I think the race set up for that. This is a horse that has a tendency of stepping slow. Yes, gets J-Mac on, barrier 3, speed drawn underneath. He could end up last on the rail. I'm certainly hoping he does, and I'm happy to take on the $2.70. So my lay this week as part of the LayStreak will be race 4, number 1, Tannhauser.
I'm against, in a big way, race 7, number 2, linebacker. I think it's a stupid price. I think Manal should be clear favourite, and she beats him home, and I think Broadsiding's the value.
I'm going to go to the all age, and I'm going to lay Espiona. I don't like the setup for her, and she doesn't win very often. And I think she's a silly price and pretty keen to lay her.
She got a 33% strike rate. That's tough.
Yeah, doesn't win very often.
Not often enough, if you ask most punters.
If the horses in your stable are at 33%, you wouldn't be doing this show.
Oh, it would probably be at 55% to be fair.
You'd like the trainer.
Yeah, I would have run in a Newmarket.
Yes.
Hey, we might just duck around and get our best backs as well for the weekend, because I've sprung that on you. I'll start. My best back is at Royal Randwick, race 5. It's the Hallmark Stakes, number 7, front page. I think he's going to be able to go straight to the top, dictate second up. A nice little freshen of 4 weeks between runs. 2-2 this track trip. Tyler Schiller on board. I think he'll be mighty hard to beat.
My best is actually laying linebacker, but in terms of best backs, I don't mind Boy d'Argent in race 6, the JRA Plate, but I'm pretty keen to play race 3, the JB Carr on Scarlet Oak, number 12 there, first up for the Wallace Stable off a dynamic New Zealand win. She's probably my best, but I don't want to lose if number 7 or 8 win that race either.
My best is at a nice price in the JRA Plate, City of Lights, down the bottom there. I think she's a really progressive filly, and I think we're getting a nice price. She might get a little bit far out of her ground, but I think she can certainly fill a hole, so she's my best each way.
Beautiful. Hey, I've loved the chat today, boys. A couple of laughs as well. Tommy, enjoy your day 3 of the championships this Saturday. Reece, any runners coming in?
Yeah. Got a couple tomorrow. One at Seymour that I like. First run for me, can run really well. Turin. And then one Friday night, tomorrow night at Cranbourne, horse called Macbeal, who ran second 2 weeks ago at Cranbourne. He's probably less confidence-wise. So I think the one at Seymour will run really well.
And any recent purchases or shares available, any horses that our layback family can get involved in?
Absolutely, straight on the website, reecegoodwinracing.com.au. We've actually purchased quite a few of recent. Yeah, so we've had a little bit of a refresh. We've sold a lot and retired a few and sold on a few others and brought a lot of other slow horses through that hopefully we can win a couple of races with. There's no champions there. Actually, there was a horse I brought with an injury that's a little while off that you would know, Diamil.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yep. So he's a project horse for me that's quite highly rated, and hopefully we can get him back to his best.
How's that little back marker going that keeps winning without me?
Ran yesterday.
No good?
Yeah, unfortunately not the right race shape, but ran well enough.
My filly looks like she's going well.
Super.
Yeah.
Yep.
There we go. Well, all the best, fellas, across the weekend punting. Listeners, as always, gamble responsibly. Hope we've got something out of this show today, and we'll be back next week on Layback with Betfair.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.